the camera's off, is it not?
Yeah, I keep trying to hit like to turn it on and it says unable to because the host has stopped it. I'm not the most savvy with Zoom, but okay, a lot more options just came on.
Try now.
There I
Yay!
am.
Look at
Woo!
that. All right.
Did it.
I feel so
Okay.
accomplished just because of that.
Yeah, I'm happy. I was a little bit like, oh no. Here we are,
Okay,
gang.
okay.
We're cooking.
Still going to give it a few more minutes because we got a couple of people coming in, but at least
Sounds
we got that
good.
rocking now.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. All right, good. I have the slides ready to share too once we get rocking and rolling.
Cool, man. Hi, Jenny. Can we text in here? Chat.
I believe so. It looks like there's one in there.
Got it.
I got people asking me for the link, so I'm sending a few out.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Jenny, how are you?
Jenny girl, I get to see her when I run now. I see her almost every time I'm out running.
Yeah?
She's just out and about. Yeah. She chased me actually. She was able to run. She's killing it. Sometimes you just need a new knee, you know what I'm saying?
Jenny, I'm like you now. I got a new hip and I feel better than ever.
Yeah, your progress will be almost as good as Ginny's, I bet.
So I'm super pumped about this, and you'll appreciate that. First time in my life, I've had the thing for 2 years. New hip, won a Peloton class.
You won the class?
I won the class.
Wow. I didn't even know you could win the class. That's incredible.
I didn't either. I was really excited about it. Thank you.
A win is a win. Nice job.
All right, I'm going to try something real quick. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to try and reclaim the host position so that I can share the slides because we'll get started in a sec. If I lose you on video, I'll give it back.
Okay. Ready to rock.
Ah, beautiful. It worked. Got it.
Okay.
I feel like a tech wizard.
You're just winning today, Corey Berger.
All right, so I'm going to pass the time and share something with you guys while we're waiting because we're going to give it 2 to 3 more minutes before we get rocking and rolling. And I'm going to show you, and I know, like, I'm not trying to be that guy. Everybody, like, oh, yeah, see the picture of someone else's baby. But since I'm the host, I get to do it.
Yes, let's see that baby.
I met
Corey's
my
first niece or nephew, I'm sorry.
niece, my first niece today.
Oh, that's good.
It was the best thing ever. And for the sake of what we're doing this evening, girl's a rebel already. You know, she had to rock the hat.
Obviously.
It didn't fit her head, but she's ready to go.
She's branded. She's in. She's gonna be a stud athlete herself. I mean, it's just Burger blood. That's just the way it is.
I had her doing squats and push-ups today.
Obviously. I can't even believe you let it like last this long until you made it happen. So
there's really no other option, you know?
no way. Fit or not. If you want to be in this family. That poor girl having you as an uncle. Yeah, that's right. His sister too is a pretty elite runner too, right? And you run, is that the sister you ran that half with that crushed it?
Yeah, and she's a freak. I don't get it. She can just go out and run so fast.
This girl's gonna be a stud. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sick.
All right, I'm gonna set this up real quick and then we'll get rocking.
Sounds good.
Appreciate your patience, guys. Just one more minute. I'm going to let a few people in and then get the slides ready to rock, and then we'll get rolling with everything. Okay?
While we do that, I'm going to do one more thing. Give it
Sure.
one more second, and I'll be right back, and then I'm in.
Show. Okay, we're almost ready.
All right, I'm ready whenever.
Got 2 more people coming in right now. Sending the link, and then we'll get going.
Sounds good. We got a party now.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, man. It's a bash. We won't call it a party. It's a good bash. Parties are whack.
I miss a good bash.
Hey, man. We're almost there, gang. We're like really almost there.
So close.
It might be weird for a while, but at least you're getting out there. I saw a lot of outdoor restaurants going today, so it's coming.
Listen, Brian, because I know that's you, the poor girl having me as an uncle. She's going to beat your grace time before I do. So you better be careful over there. I know you can hear me. And I appreciate you guys being here. Listen, I'm going to let Jess take care of all of the nuts and bolts of everything that we're going to talk about. But whether you're a plant-based athlete or not, meaning whether you're vegan or vegetarian or not, you still need to eat more vegetables. So good on you for being here, because they're just as important no matter what your dietary preference is. So I'm going to kick it off. We have Jess here with us again this evening. If you saw her live cooking demo, you know how awesome she is. If you didn't, drop a comment. I'll make sure to tag you in it. It'll be food that you've absolutely got to see. Hey, Liz. Liz is yelling hi. We got her in here.
Hey.
That food demo, man, you got to see it. Going to give you some great tips there on some plant-based meals that you could do. The reason that we're here tonight, though, is to take it a step further from that. What we want to do is dive a little deeper as to why, right? What are the benefits? Why eat more plants? Whether that's going all the way to a vegan or vegetarian lifestyle or adding more to your diet, we're going to talk about the benefits, and Jess is going to walk us through that. I'm going to turn it over to her in a second. Let her go through what she has to go through, and then we'll take some questions at the end. So stick around. If you have questions, we'll address those at the end of the discussion. One other thing. Because you're here tonight, for the next 24 hours, we got something special for you. I'm not going to give it away just yet. Little teaser. I always heard these on the radio. Like, I would listen, and right before they go to the commercial break, they'd be like, oh, so-and-so did, and then you have to wait. I always hated it, but it's part of the fun. Right.
That's right.
So
we got some cool stuff to talk about.
We got some great stuff for you. Stick around for the end. We'll get you all of that after we go over the questions. But from now on, I'm going to hand it over to Jess, let her do her thing. You want me to pull up the slides first, or you want to introduce yourself? How you want to go?
Yeah, I'll just do an intro first, quick, for a minute, and then we could pull them up. So what's up, everyone? I'm Jess. For those of you that may not know me yet, I'm here. I own a CrossFit gym, or co-owner of a CrossFit gym. I've been plant-based for about 5 years now. I currently train CrossFit and strength training as a background, but I'm currently training for a half Ironman as well. So diversifying and just kind of having fun being an athlete, just fun being able to do whatever we want with our bodies. But I've been vegan for about 5 years for a multitude of reasons. But today we're going to go through a lot of the health reasons that go with it. And I've seen extensive health benefits from it. And I really would never go back. So I'm really excited to share with you guys all the benefits for those of you, whether you're actually going to try and pursue transitioning into a plant-based diet, or even just incorporating more plants and maybe taking small steps back from some more animal products. So Corey, if you want to pull up the slides and we could start the conversation for the night. I'm really excited to go through this with you guys. I'm so passionate about explaining to people, because I think that a lot of people think plant-based eaters, you know, we can't be athletes, or we can't do this, or we can't do that. And really, when you kind of learn more about the background and the facts, I think a lot of people go, interesting. So let's go through it.
All right.
So there's a lot of reasons to go plant-based. For me, first things foremost is animal cruelty. Morally, it just doesn't agree with me. Since I was a kid, I always thought it was a little bit weird to like have a dog in the house and then still be like having steak on our plate. So that's number one for me. And for some of you guys, maybe something that doesn't align with you either. All right, and the other thing is climate change. So by sticking to a plant-based diet, we tremendously reduce our carbon footprint and make a tremendous difference in the overall environment. So if that's something you're into helping out with too, going plant-based or even reducing your animal product consumption can help dramatically reduce how much waste we create. But most importantly, and why we're all here today, is really about our health. Sticking to a plant-based diet has been pretty proven to help reduce a lot of common chronic illnesses. Oh, I'm hearing a little bit of an echo, Corey. Oh, there we go. The biggest killers in America is cardiovascular diseases like heart disease, heart attack, stroke, things like that, as well as diabetes and cancer, where a plant-based diet has been pretty proven to help reduce a ton of that. So what we're going to get into a little bit too is how plants and eating and incorporating them more, or going completely plant-based, how can kind of change our entire body's ecosystem into becoming as efficient as possible in creating immunity from all this crappy stuff that we don't want to get into with chronic illnesses. So let's go ahead and hit the next slide. I don't know if I can do that, or you do that, Corey. Cool. So we're going to get into a little bit about our healthy gut. So our gut is kind of where all of that immunity comes through. So within our gut, we have something called our microbiome, which is pretty much just like our digestive tract and our little ecosystem that exists within us, that helps keep everything, when it's like working optimally, that's when we're fighting off all this chronic illness that can kind of, sorry, my puppy just came in. I thought the door was closed. To help fight off these diseases. So when our microbiome is in its ultimate, like most efficient state, or optimal state, that's when all of this goes on. So how do we keep a nice healthy gut? So if we go to the next slide, we can kind of get into how we can kind of create a diet that will, hey Sienna, a diet that will help do that. So
before you jump into that, I want to add to that, because again, I mentioned before, we have some people in here that aren't totally vegan or vegetarian. Regardless of your dietary preferences, my background is in healthcare, in gastroenterology specifically. And the first thing that all physicians clinically are supposed to address is the gut microbiome. And the first thing that they all recommend, these specialists, is adding the nutrients that you get from these plants. So I just wanted to emphasize the point that you're making there, because it's so important. And they're dealing with people with severe gut issues and microbiome imbalances, and the importance of this really can't be understated. Whether it's performance or just general health, these are the first things that they go to.
Yeah. So our microbiome, right, that's kind of like what, keeps all this stuff in order. So when that's messed up, that's when all of this kind of funky stuff can happen. It can be affected by the things we're eating. It can also be affected just by our lifestyle, you know, whether you're an athlete, how much stress, sleep, all that sort of stuff affects it too. But the foods that we're eating and the nutrients we're taking in is essentially where we can improve our microbiome health. So by increasing plants in our diet, right, we're automatically going to be eating better, right? So plant-based foods all provide so many essential nutrients, antioxidants, healthy fats, vitamins and minerals, or micronutrients. These are all vital into our overall health altogether, but really our microbiome. And when our microbiome's all messed up, I mean, it's not just chronic illness that, or, you know, these kind of like death sentence type things. It even comes down to things like IBS or hormonal health, mental health. These are all things that are more like everyday sort of occurrences. Maybe you have constipation or diarrhea, all things like that. These smaller kind of illnesses or these larger illnesses that can be affected. My personal experience, I struggled a lot with my weight overall, which affected my hormonal imbalances, and I had high testosterone, and I was pre-diabetic, and all these things. All things that even with losing weight and all this stuff still didn't get reversed. And once I kind of switched over to a plant-based diet over these past 5 years, I just went for like a physical just before quarantine. And he was like, your numbers have changed dramatically, like from year 1 to 5, insane. So, but the most important part of a plant-based diet and helping our healthy gut is the fiber intake. So fiber is pretty much essential for our microbiome to be functioning optimally. So with fiber, I mean, we get almost all of our fibrous foods are plant-based foods. It almost doesn't even exist in animal products. So any sort of plant-based foods such as, you know, veggies, fruits, legumes, whole grains, beans, all those things have a tremendous amount of fiber. And if you're looking at like a standard American diet, most of us barely reach 30 grams. And that's not even like what's prescribed. It's like between 15 and 30. And I mean, I can have a day where I'm eating closer to like 50 grams naturally, just, you know, without even trying eating a plant-based diet. So adding that fiber is going to help keep everything moving. So your microbiome, the more that it's moving, the healthier it's going to be. The more things get stuck and stagnant in there, that's when, you know, that inflammation increases. So by increasing that fiber, we'll keep that stuff moving. And
As
with
coaches,
plant-based,
that's one of the first things that we change also is we identify the deficits in fiber and look there.
yeah,
That's so
for
important.
most people, they don't even realize, and even myself, like looking back at when I was eating, even, you know, not to call out any other diet, but I was paleo for a very long time in keto, and I probably barely hit 20 grams of fiber then because I was so focused on my protein intake and my carbohydrate intake, but I wasn't eating as whole grain kind of carbohydrates as I am now. And I wasn't eating any grains then. I was eating, you know, only sweet potatoes sometimes. And most of my fiber came from like just less favorable sources. So with that being said too, I think there's a little differentiation between eating vegan and eating plant-based. Eating plant-based means eating whole foods, you know, just like the things I said, you know, fruits, veggies, legumes, beans, nuts, seeds, whole grains, right? But now there's this whole new market for these vegan foods like, you know, Beyond Burgers and veggie burgers and mock meats and things like that. Now, it doesn't mean that those things aren't good, okay for us to eat, but the more we start eating any sort of processed foods or refined sugar or any of these refined carbohydrates, anything that kind of has an ingredients list is going to affect how our gut is kind of processing foods. The cleaner it is, like I was saying before about things moving quickly through it, plant-based foods are just going to move quickly through it. The more processed it is, whether it's, you know, having something like potato chips or having a Beyond Burger, it's just a little bit more complicated on our digestive system and just adds a little bit more stress that maybe isn't as necessary. So that's kind of like the fine line between plant-based and vegan. Plant-based is you really are sticking to, you know, things that come straight out of the ground and just kind of, you know, produce.
And again, from a
Um,
diet perspective, the goal is for us to limit the stress as much as possible, because that has such a direct impact on any type of changes that you're trying to make, whether that be weight loss or performance. If your stress is out of control in too many areas at once, the body just shuts down. So by eating these
Absolutely.
quality whole foods, like you're saying, it really
Hmm.
keeps everything in balance, which is the ultimate goal, right? To feel
Yeah,
great.
1000%. And the other thing with eating, plant-based is like the volume of food too. I mean, I train a lot. I'm hungry all the time. That's what's fun too, is like I just feel like I get to eat so much more and such a larger variety. I mean, even forget about going plant-based, just plant-wise, like think about the list of all the different fruits, veggies, and grains and legumes that there are versus how many kind of like animal products there are. It's like a much shorter list. So, I think people get stuck on only eating broccoli and spinach and cauliflower and carrots and like these 5 to 7 veggies that they eat when really, I mean, it's endless how many options there are. So it's the other thing too about when I went plant-based is I started to really like open my horizons for the foods I was eating, which is really fun too. So we can go to the next slide.
Did it slide over for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought you heard me.
I'm saying that, is this the next slide that you wanted? I think I went over, right?
Oh, yeah,
Got it? Okay.
yeah. Okay, so I kind of pretty much said those things too as we were chatting. But yeah, so again, like talking about, increasing our immunity and stuff and all these different types of foods. I mean, that's what's fun too, is like getting into the kitchen. That's why I really love doing those cooking videos for everyone. I'm posting, if you don't follow me already on social media, getting creative with all the different types of plant-based foods. Like I was saying, the list is endless. Like really you have to get creative. And I remember first going vegan and being like, why the fuck are there like nuts and everything and this and that? And it kind of blew my mind. And slowly I started experimenting a bit more. And it's really fun to get in the kitchen and really start making, more foods and better foods for you and your family too, overall. Let's hit the next slide, please. Thanks, Corey. So that being said, with all the chronic illness too, so again, with my personal experience, I was pretty much almost diabetic. I was 250 pounds. I'd been overweight since I think I'm like 10 years old. And I was about to be like on insulin. I know you know a lot about that, Corey, because of what you do for a living.
Yep.
And I've pretty much reversed that. In fact, I now had like almost low like blood sugar counts. He was kind of like, this is kind of weird, but like you just kind of reversed it. And with that, just going plant-based too, when I was talking about like kind of like the volume of foods and the types of foods, we're also going to be like naturally managing a healthier body weight overall. It's really kind of hard to like overeat all these plant-based foods. And again, like there's such quality, full of nutrient, antioxidant, all these things that our gut really needs to thrive. And just by increasing our plants, you're going to be increasing all of that good stuff, and naturally, just it. I've found that I haven't had to really worry that much about how much I'm eating. I used to be so psycho about how much I was eating and counting everything, and this has given me a new kind of freedom to kind of be a little bit. Sorry, guys, more
That's so good.
experimentative with some foods. Can you take her out, babe? And sorry about that. So with that being said too, like being sorry guys, a little distraction. The other thing too is I also struggle a lot with things like anxiety and things like depression and sleep issues. And by improving how much the quality of our food is, we're also lowering our stress. We're changing the way our mind is thinking. When our microbiome's functioning really well, it actually like increases our body's serotonin levels, like big time. Which is something that I know I naturally, I always say like I kind of run sad. Like I've always struggled with, kind of just whatever, depression and anxiety. And since going vegan, it's been a huge help. I've even actually been able to like get off some medications and things like that, and just kind of changing my mindset big time. But it is proven that, you know, having a optimally functioning, you know, having your gut in prime shape, that it will also help with all those kind of mental health and anxiety issues. And that all just works, coincides together, that when we're in a happier state, our cortisol levels are lower, our stress levels are lower. I mean, our body weight should be better. We should be happier, in a better mood. Like all that stuff plays a part. In fact, most people's weight loss issues, I find that it's not even so much nutrition as it is just like their environment and making sure that they're living to like their fullest potential. And making
So
some
true.
small like changes like that, sometimes dramatically, and they barely even change their nutrition. And a lot of it is just lifestyle, some lifestyle changes that can happen. So, and the other thing with, you know, eating plants, it also increases our athletic performance tremendously. So plants are like, I mean, I remember as a kid learning about like trees creating like carbon dioxide and oxygen and all this stuff. I mean, plants literally contain oxygen in them. And as an athlete, we're looking to oxygenate our blood as fast as possible, right, Corey? So it's like,
Absolutely.
right. So, I mean, all these guys, Lance Armstrong and all these athletes that are trying to be as fit as possible and are doping, I mean, that's what they're doing, is they're finding ways to transfer their blood and get more oxygen. So by eating plants, you're literally providing more and more oxygen into your blood system. And that's why a lot of people are switching to a vegan diet, or athletes are switching to a vegan diet, because it's showing that, you know, it changes kind of like the way the viscosity of our blood, helping athletes to be able to perform better. And I mean, if your blood's able to run through your body better, I mean, again, we're lowering our inflammation and lowering our risk for chronic disease. So a lot of like crazy points with, you know, plant-based diet, improving our immunity and helping us be better athletes and all of these things, you know. Um, and the best part for me is helping with the animals and helping promote, you know, a positive kind of world here and being kinder. And, you know, it's the truth is that, you know, our animal products aren't coming from a happy farm or for anything like that. You know, these animals are living in really awful conditions, full of disease, full of terrible things, and not for nothing. Like that stuff, when we're ingesting it, I mean, that's going into our body as well. The stress that they're living in and the disease that they're living in. It's not like they're happy, healthy cows or whatever animals. They're living in horrific conditions that now we're ingesting. And, you know, I believe a lot in energy. And I mean, you ever catch bad vibes from somebody? I mean, now you're eating bad vibes, you know? So it's just something to be mindful of too, you know? And all of that affects just our body's equilibrium. You know, the more that we can be providing positivity, and especially what we're eating. I mean, it just, for me, once I started really learning a lot about this, it all started to just make sense for me. And again, whether that's transitioning into a plant-based diet, or this is just maybe you're going to add in 5 meals a week or 10 meals a month, whatever it is, small changes lead to bigger changes. And who knows, you could, I mean, I was somebody that woke up one day and said, this is for me. And the next day, never ate an animal product again. And for some people, it may just be 1 meal a day or a week, you know?
Jess, I want to say, I think that's our last slide, right? It is. I want to say,
Yeah,
first of all, thank you for being so open and sharing that personal story, because I think that's something a lot of us can relate with, to different degrees, maybe, but we've all kind of been in that place where we've been struggling with something mentally. And as coaches, one of the first things that we look at whether or not a client's ready to become a part of one of our programs is their environment and their lifestyle. So when you mentioned that, it's a huge thing for being able to be successful, is having everything aligned, and it starts up here. It really does. And that microbiome plays a huge role in that. And having balance there allows you, and especially that serotonin, keeping those cortisol levels, all of those things play such a major role in our overall health and in our ability to make changes. So if you're looking at a plant-based diet in any way, shape, or form as far as losing weight or improving athletic performance, those are where you start. Any diet for that matter. So that's a huge
for
one.
sure.
And another thing that I really like to emphasize with people, the nutrient intake. We touched on that a little bit. It's one that hits with me because every block has a GNC or a vitamin shop. And as Americans, we always look for the quick fix, right? So it's like, oh, I could take a multivitamin, I could take a B vitamin, I could take this, I could take that. You mentioned personally that you've been able to come off of some medications as a result of the change that you make. And I think that's one of the most important things. And if, again, I go back to my experience in the healthcare world, physicians' goals are to treat people without medication. That is the ultimate goal. And the truth of the matter is that a quality whole foods diet, like you're talking about, has been proven to negate any type of nutrient or mineral deficiencies. What does that mean, people? Unless you have a medical condition diagnosed by a doctor, in which case I definitely recommend you talk to them. But otherwise, if you eat a diet like this, if you eat more plant-based foods, and that doesn't mean you have to go all the way to one side or the other. If you eat more of the foods that Jess is talking about, you can save your money on those supplements that you're buying. You do not need them if you're eating a quality whole foods diet. And that's like, when I first saw those studies, that was mind-blowing to me because I was a huge supplement guy. I bought every supplement under the sun because it was like, this is going to give me the advantage, right?
Me too. I must have took in the mornings like a handful of everything. And like I said, just 3 months ago, or what month are we in quarantine, but weeks just before quarantine, I went, the only deficiency I had was a mild vitamin D deficiency, which I think everybody does, and especially coming out of the winter. So, and I was taking all sorts of stuff. I haven't taken a multivitamin or any sort of vitamin, dude, in so long, years. So, and that's just a testament to what eating, you know, for me, mostly a whole food plant-based diet is.
So for nothing else, it can save you a couple of bucks, you know what I mean? And the stress of having to remember all those pills.
1,000%, excuse me, 1,000%. I must have spent $200 a month minimum on supplements. And now I barely even personally take protein powder much anymore, just in a pinch, but I'd rather eat real food. I just prefer it at this point, where I used to probably have like 2 shakes a day, you know? Definitely increasing, you know, the nutrient intake from eating more plants in general, whether you join me and come to this plant-based life or not, just adding that in will absolutely help with all of that microbiome stuff, any sort of health conditions we got going on, you know?
It's so true. So true. Well, again, thank you for sharing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this slide up, but I'm going to open it up to questions, guys. Yes, Tina, that's what's up. So there's an option with the webinar, guys. If you're watching this, there's a Q&A section where you could drop questions into the chat, and I'll be able to see those and pass them along with Jess. The first one that we got is, here, let me read it to you. What are the best sources of healthy fats when eating plant-based? So what are some areas that you go to for some good quality fats that fall under the plant-based category?
Absolutely. So, I mean, simple nuts and seeds work. Any sort of plant-based olive oil, coconut oil, avocado, almost most fats naturally are plant-based. The only fats that wouldn't be would be something like butter or lard or, you know, animal fat. But I stick to mostly, I use cooking oil would be most of like the oil that I ingest, because I'd rather cook with more oil, and I don't really care much personally for nuts or seeds and stuff like that, but I do incorporate them in just to keep a balance with all different foods, you know? So, but even something little, you know, I was talking to my sister-in-law, or my girlfriend's sister, I was telling her just something so simple as, instead of buying butter, like, she can have a plant-based option. She bought it once by accident and said it was pretty good. And I'm like, well, if you liked it, I mean, that's just one small change. Instead of buying butter, and if you like the plant-based butter, it's better for you. It's cleaner. And that's one small change that you can make done. Like, why not? It seems like a no-brainer to me. So if you can find just a few small changes that you can make, you're helping the planet, helping yourself, and eating more plants, you
Yeah.
know? So something like that. But, you know, Earth Balance is another good fat source that I use as well. But yeah, almost probably a lot of the fats that you're already eating are plant-based too.
Oh, thank you. I got a couple of
And the other
more.
thing on fat too,
Go ahead.
sorry, is in a plant-based diet, there is no like saturated fat, the kind of bad fats that cause um, higher triglycerides and bad fats in our blood that can create more inflammation and cardiovascular diseases. I mean, I even had some high, personally had some high cholesterol and reversed that. And that was only after a year of going vegan. So that's the other thing too. If anyone has, whether it's high blood pressure or heart disease that runs in your family or anything like that, a plant-based diet helps reverse that like almost instantly once you remove those animal products from your diet.
Absolutely. So we got a ton of questions coming in, guys. We'll try and get to all of them, but if I don't get to yours, we've got something towards the end that we'll go over that should be able to help clear them up. So I see them
Okay.
coming in. You can keep them flowing, but I'm just going to kind of go in order that they came in. The next question, and this might be a little specific, so if you don't have the answer to this one, no worries, but I'll throw it at you and see if you can hit it out of the park. Gut
Okay.
health or the microbiome specifically, a relation to acne?
Sure, definitely. Well, acne is a direct correlation to either stress or inflammation. I too struggle with skin stuff. I mean, I even have one right here that keeps yelling at me for picking on. But I like my face can turn into a teenager's overnight. So acne probably has something to do with maybe a hormonal imbalance of some sort, perhaps, or maybe something going on. I'm somebody that had polycystic ovarian syndrome, which always affects my skin. But by getting, you know, changing my diet and eating better and increasing my overall health and lowering that inflammation by having that healthy gut and healthy microbiome, that has reduced my acne. And now I just get breakouts here and there. That for me is 100 times better than, I mean, I used to just constantly have breakouts. But since going plant-based, my skin is cleared up like that. So definitely a huge correlation. And probably, I don't know if it was a male or female that asked, but if it's a female, it's probably hormonal for sure.
Out of the park. Thank you. Thought you could
The other
handle it.
thing
That's why I threw
too,
it at you.
and the other thing too is if I ever do eat dairy, for instance, I mean, I've been plant-based 5 years, but if I go on vacation occasionally, I may dabble in some cheese. We were in Italy last summer and I had a few things with cheese. My face, Corey, broke out, looked at me and said, I look like a 16-year-old kid. Like, so that's how fast, just from like 2 or 3 meals where I had a little bit of dairy, my skin broke out so quick. So I don't know if it has a direct correlation to just the nutrition or if it affected my inflammation or what, but absolutely when it comes to acne, I think that there's a correlation.
And obviously, by making that change, getting the microbiome in balance, we can help to kind of counteract some of that.
Mm-hmm.
So the next question, Tanya, I see your question. We're going to get to that one more towards the end. So don't think I'm passing over you, Tanya. I got you covered. But the next question, two people had the same one. Number one source of protein, and how easy is that for you to hit? So kind of a two-part question, but
For sure.
I guess, what's the number one source of protein that you use, and do you find difficulty in getting enough protein throughout the day?
Right. So this is probably the question I get, I don't know, every day. So here's the thing. All plants technically have some form of protein in them. So, I mean, you can look at something like broccoli that only has a few grams of protein. And then we can look at something like tofu or tempeh that's got, you know, a tremendous amount of protein, just like chicken breast or eggs or steak. Just about the same idea. So the thing is with hitting protein for the day, I have just about no problem. Like we were talking about before about supplements, I used to chase and chug down protein shakes to make sure I was getting the right amount in for the day. With a plant-based diet, just because everything does contain protein, it adds up. So if I have a salad that's got some seeds and it's got tons of veggies and all these things, all those veggies end up adding up to about usually 10 to 12 grams of protein alone. And once I add in all my veggies, then I can go ahead and be like, okay, this is how much either tofu, tempeh, seitan. There's plenty of really great natural protein sources that are super dense, just like as we find in animal products like chicken breast or something like that would be a common thing that I would always grab. And it's almost the same value. And I'm actually eating less of things like that and getting most of my protein straight from vegetables and beans and legumes and things like that. Also really great for protein. But it all kind of adds up. So it took me though a while to figure out exactly how much and all of that. But I think that goes with transitioning into any diet or new diet plan or new coach or trainer. It takes time and adjustments, but I figured it out. So hope
I
that
think
answered the
you
question.
hit on something there too that kind of answers one of the questions that we got from Monty is kind of what does your plan look like? And the thing here, and I'll take this one for you, is that Jess's plan is specific to her, the type of training that she does and the type of lifestyle that she leads. If she gives you every detail down to the most minute detail of what she eats, doesn't mean it's right for you. This is more about the bigger picture, guys. So we want you to take from this the importance of either if you're making the transition, the value of it, or if you're not, adding more plant-based whole foods to your diet because of the overall health benefits that it has. As far as making the transition, that's something that we're going to talk about towards the end of this. We're going to take a few more questions, and then we'll talk about what the transition actually looks like and how you could do that or how you can add more of these foods into your diet. So I'm going to throw you another question, Jess. We had one that, well, actually, I'm going to answer one more before I throw it back to you. Brian, Kathleen, if you're looking for foods to mix into your routine, go back and watch the live cooking demo that Jess did. It was last week, right? Or 2 weeks ago. He mentioned that, you know, they've tried to try some of these foods and they're kind of funky, and it sounds like they're probably the frozen ones that you see in the supermarket that you were talking about, that Beyond and stuff like that. Jess cooks real whole foods.
Yes.
And it's simple. She breaks it down and it is delicious. I've been fortunate enough to have it. Just go back and watch that video demo and it'll answer all the questions for you. And we'll definitely have her do some more in the future so you guys have some other options.
Yes.
So the next question that we got, and I think this might be the last question, guys, because if we get one more, maybe we'll see how long this one takes to answer. But question was about bloating and gas and experiencing a lot of that and how the change can help to mitigate some of that stuff. Can you speak on that?
Yeah. So is this somebody that is switching to a plant-based diet, or just in general they have bloating and gas?
They're not currently on a plant-based diet, so they're experiencing this, looking for a solution.
Absolutely. So with bloating and gas, I mean, this could be from a number of things. If it's something that you see chronically, I would definitely suggest checking that out. But that's got to be something to do with whatever is going on with your digestive system, which is all the stuff that we're talking about. So something with your microbiome's little ecosystem is not happy. So going plant-based could be an option for you, or maybe you're just not eating the right foods, and that may be a number of things. Again, this is something really specific to everybody, to each person. You know, I don't know their story, but I would definitely experiment with increasing your fiber intake and trying to incorporate more plant-based foods. While some people say that they get some digestion issues from when they start adding in more plants, I think that's just a transitional phase. And if it starts really bothering you, just cut back. It doesn't mean that you need to eat plants at every meal. If that means one meal a day you're adding, then slowly increase until, you know, your stomach can kind of handle it and you feel comfortable.
Yeah, I can speak from experience and say, and without oversharing too much, I've suffered from IBS for years. And a part of that, I think, was probably, you know, that same mindset where it was like crush protein, right, to have success. But the reality was when I started to dial back on the protein and change all of these things in my diet, nothing made a difference. until I added more greens. Literally got on a consistent regimen of adding more greens, and I have not had an issue in 4 months at all. No more medication, no more uncomfortable, embarrassing issues, no more being concerned about where I'm going or how long I'm going to be there. It literally fixed my problems. And I'm not vegan right now, but I eat a ton of plants with every single meal, and adding those colors into my meals has made a huge difference. So one more question, and then we'll jump to the last thing that we have for you guys. And Tanya, I hope you're still there because we're going to get to yours in just a moment. The last question was about hydration, and if there was any change to the amount that you drink as far as water when you made the change.
So that's interesting too. Remember we were talking about athletic performance and how plants have oxygen. It's because they have, you know, water in them. So plants are very hydrating, especially raw plants and raw vegetables, and really fruit too, even more hydrating. So hydration is something I'm getting even more into, as well as I'm getting into this Ironman training. But absolutely, I've found that it's helped me so much with hydrating. In fact, I probably don't drink as much or feel the need to drink as much water as I used to. I used to drink, you know, made sure I drank like over 100 ounces every day. And now I find that I just don't even feel that same amount that I need to. While I still try and aim to drink a ton of water, I find that eating a ton of plants, and especially fresh raw plants, helps definitely with hydration. Just they naturally contain, I mean, they're mostly made up of water and fibrous materials. So all the things we need to kind of keep things functioning and moving well through our body. That's the thing too, is we want to keep flushing and keep things new. You don't want foods to stay stagnant. And unfortunately, animal products kind of clog up a lot of our digestive system, and our, you know, it slows down our blood through our veins, everything. It just slows down the process of all of our digestion and all of food going through us. So the longer that things are staying in our system and slowing things down, that's when all the inflammation happens. That's when the body gains weight. That's when the, you know, more depression and things happen. When we're eating plants and we're hydrating and, you know, eating all the right things, I mean, that's when we just keep things moving and keep things positive and keep things fresh. So
yeah, it's interesting because one of the things that we talk about with clients on a regular basis is there are fluctuations every day in weight, right? It's a natural thing to fluctuate a little bit here and there. And one of the first things that we look at is hydration. And how much water did you consume the day before? So if the next day you step on the scale and you're up a pound and you're like, what the hell happened? Right. And then we talk to, did you drink? Well, sometimes maybe you don't drink enough, right? And then the food doesn't digest as quickly and literally sits in that digestive tract. And it's like stepping on a scale with holding a plate of food. So it's, again, it's a great answer, but it's one of those things where you really have to find the balance that makes the most sense for you, depending on the training and the lifestyle and all of that. So
exactly. It's so specific to each person, and also, you know, climate too, like where you live, or right now it's getting hotter. You know, I'm drinking a ton more water just naturally. I know I'm thirstier and I need more. And when we're training out in the heat, I mean, I think I crushed like 40 ounces of water, or even more than that, just on my bike ride alone today. So again, lifestyle plays a part, your climate, everything. So it's really specific to each person.
Side note too, and this is just because we're a rebel community and we don't conform with the norms of like, oh, we're going to stay away from alcohol because we're healthy. Tequila, plant. Vodka, plant. Wine, plant. Awesome.
All alcohol is plant-based, gang. Thank God.
So
alcohol, you know, may not be the best for our microbiome. I mean, but finding the right balance again
within reason.
Exactly. Is key. Finding balance with everything, man. Peace and love. Be happy. And that's also part of just your overall health. I mean, if you like to have a couple of drinks and you're restricting yourself for weeks and months at a time, I mean, that creates its own stress, you know, or avoiding social things, or, you know, skipping out wine with your wife. Like, I mean, life shouldn't have to be so strict. We are meant to enjoy. And as long as that's within reason and not messing up with your goals. I mean, I used to set goals and then get pissed because I was drinking all weekend and doing this and eating that, and I'd get mad at myself, but I didn't stick to my plan, right? So it's finding, whatever your goals are, your balance, and making yourself happy is going to be one of the biggest things you can do for yourself to keep everything, your overall health well.
It's huge. It's so big. So guys, listen, the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to touch on one quick thing for you. I'm going to try and figure out how I can bring back up. We're going to stop the share. Going to bring us back up here. So you may have just seen the quick slide, depending on where you're watching. So power, we talked about power with this. POWR, P, plant-based, O, organic, W, whole foods, R, resource. This is your plant-based, organic, whole foods resource. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring to you the exact path to transitioning or adding more plants into your diet. We are launching an 8-week course where Jess is going to lead you through exactly how to do everything that we talked about tonight, some of the recipes that you've seen her cook live. That's going to be launching July 1st. We are going to be offering for the next 24 hours, and I'm dropping the link in the comments here now.
Drop it. Drop it like it's hot.
Click that link. You've got 10% off from being here this evening. If you'd like to join, get on the journey, make the change. Jess will be leading you through it. We have a limited number of spots, but we have a solid group here. So go ahead and click that July 1st drop. Once you get signed up, your place will be held and more information will be coming your way by email. We're probably going to end up chatting again live before we actually launch to talk a little bit more about the specifics. But we've got an 8-week program where Jess is going to teach you guys exactly how to do everything that we're talking about. So Tanya, your question about how to start the change, everybody that asks, what do I do next? What does the plan look like? We're going to do that for you. We're going to pave the way.
Let's do it. I'm really pumped. It's going to be really fun. 8 weeks together, and it doesn't have to be so strict or all or nothing. Just join us, and I'm going to show you everything, and especially how to cook. I think that that's everything for everyone. Any diet is just finding foods that you enjoy, and that's my goal with anyone I work with, is finding a way to reach your goals and still enjoy the food you're eating every meal. It shouldn't have to suck. It shouldn't. There's no reason for it.
Again.
So,
we rebel against the norms of what people traditionally think are diets or what they should look like or how restricted they should be. Guys, this is about making a lifestyle change. This is about making you feel better, be happier, live the way that you want to live, be your you, okay? It's about being that best version of yourself that you can possibly be. And over the course of that 8 weeks, Jess is going to lead you through all of the steps of the process. But again, we're going to be live over the course of those 8 weeks. So not only are you going to get tons of support from Jess, but like she said, you're going to learn how to cook some of these great foods. You're going to be able to try and experiment as you go through this process. Your questions will be answered. You will be handheld. We will be your guides. Well, Jess more than me, but she will be your guide through these 8 weeks with whatever you need.
Yes,
so
I'm excited.
With that link is live for 24 hours. If you'd like to join us, we would love to have you. Jess, thank you so much for sharing not only the knowledge that you have, but the personal nature of the stories that you shared and how the transition has affected you and improved your lifestyle. I know it's not easy to talk about that publicly, so really appreciate you being so open with everybody here.
Of course.
And I know I can speak for everybody when I say that. So thank you again for sharing.
I'm here to help. I got to share to help. That's it.
And guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to come here and learn a little bit more about the benefits of just even adding some more greens. I like to say, I joke, and this is something that Jess came up with that we were chatting about one day, but it's cook with color. If there is not color in your food, you're doing something wrong. But that's it for me. Jess, I'm going to let you close it out. If you want to leave them with one last thing, let them know. Please be my guest. Send some love.
Man. Definitely. I really appreciate everyone hanging out with us tonight. I really hope to see some of you guys in our little 8-week challenge. really pumped to help some of you guys learn how to transition and add more plants into your diet. If anyone has any follow-up questions, please reach out to us. You might think of something later. We're happy to be here to help you. Reach out to Corey, reach out to me. Follow me on social media too, because that's where I post food pretty much every day. And happy if you want to send me a DM, you want to learn how to do that, please reach out. Happy to help you guys, anything. Thanks, Corey, for having me, and Liz, Rebel. Such a good time.
Love you so much. Guys, have a good
Love you,
night.
dude. Bye, guys. Good night. Thank you.